A very good evening to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Co-Racing League. We are here for Tier 3 at the Bahrain Grand Prix International Circuit, and we're here for round 11 after our last time out at the European season at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where Lucky Ayoub Jr. took a dominant victory over Little One, who was able to put the challenge on Little Lucky Ayoub. It could all change here at the Bahrain Grand Prix in the desert, under the floodlights at the nighttime sky. So hopefully we'll have a good one, because Bahrain always produces some outstanding races, as we've seen in the past here in Co-Racing League. No matter what tier it is, we've always seen some phenomenal racing and different mixture strategies as well, and safety cars can come out as well. But we are here in the 18-minute qualifying session, and there'll be a 29 lap race, I believe it is. I can't actually remember, even though I've raced here a few weeks ago and took the victory myself. But I know tyre life is not that great at all around here, so watch out for that in terms of tyre management. But we've got some cars out of the circuit there. The two Aston Martins are closely followed together, like they have been throughout the whole season. Let me just turn my volume down, because that is quite loud, to be honest. But on board with Krieger then in the Aston Martin, and if I recall correctly, back at the Hungarian Grand Prix, he didn't quite hook it up together at Hungary. Hopefully he can do it here on this occasion, because he was the first first race winner at the Chinese Grand Prix in the first race of the season. But in some qualified sessions he just couldn't quite hook it up together, so hopefully he can find that and connect it all together, and let's see what he could do. Followed by his Aston Martin teammate, which is Dragon on Speed in P8. Dragon on Speed had some decent results last time out at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hopefully he can replicate that, because he is 5th in the championship. And we got AlphaTauri, who decided to take to the escape road. That is that guy Draper, forgetting where the track is, and he'll find himself back on the track very quickly then. That's on his outlap too, so yeah, that dragging on that guy Draper there, going off the track. But we've got Krieger then approaching down towards turn number 1 now. Let's see, does the commentator... Yes, I do, Random Humor. I've been checking the comments ever since we went live, mate. I have been checking the comments, don't you worry, son, I am here. Krieger is making it... Oh, that guy Draper has gone straight off the circuit there, so it must be a wheel issue, because there's no way in hell that he's doing that accidentally. But 28.5 for Krieger in the first sector then, as he comes through turn number 7. Now going into turn number 8 we go. He didn't really quite hook it up there, went a bit wider than he would have wanted to come out the corner, so might compromise him just a little bit on the exit as we make our way down into this double left-hander, turn 9 and turn number 10, and he went a bit deep there as well, coming out of it with DRS enabled for him. And now we're making our way... Ooh, we've got both Alfa Romeos. Interesting there for both Alfa Romeos. They've gone for a little bit of a spin, both of them. So both Alfa Romeos were on a lap time, and they both ended up in a spin together, as Harry Palmer is beached, as he had to reset his track, I dare say, because there's no way he's getting out of that without getting disqualified. So yeah, but Krieger then is coming down the penultimate straight as he makes his way towards the final corner. And let's see what the first lap time is, as both Aston Martins do tend to go out there quite early to get some early lap times in. We've got Krieger making his way towards the line with a 29.2, followed by his Aston Martin teammate. Let's see where he goes in a second. Aston Martin Dragon on Speed then puts his Aston into P2, separated by 0.4 of a second there, so a big gap there already between the Aston and his teammate. But we've got a Haas now making his way towards the line. Is that Mazel's in P14 then making his way towards the line, goes P2, so he splits both Hasses, followed by Jay Hartnell in P4 with a 29.9, and now we've got an Alpine across the line, which is Natch in P5 in the Williams there, as Chokes has spun and he is out of the session then, so that'll be it for him. 2 drivers are out of this qualified session. Leo is up into P4 in the Alpine, but the McLaren following very quickly, as George Greaves goes quickest with a 28.7 then. So the Mercedes there has put his car on provisional pole, the first man in the 27s, with Mazel's in P3 there, separated by 0.5. Ferguson in the Red Bull there, looks like he's going for a spin coming out. Oh, somebody's just spun in the background there coming out of turn before. That is a Williams Alpine. Is it an Alpine? I'm not quite sure who it is. But it looks like it's an Alpine driver who's going for a spin. And who is it? It is Leon. And interesting, Leon has it's Mercedes 1-2 so far, separated by 4 tenths. Leon has gone for a second lap on those soft compound tyres then, so he has, looks like he's gone for it again, and it didn't end well. Probably the tyres were overheated just a little bit there, and that's why he went for that spin. What both Alfa Romeos doing? Alfa Romeos out there on the circuit. Little One and Harry Palmer both spun on their first flying laps. Little One has validated on his middle lap, on the middle sector, on his second flying lap then, so he won't be able to get a lap time in. I might have to go back in the pit lane on this lap too. No, he's going to stay out there for the time being. And let's see, his pace is going to be a 29.4, so that would have been good enough for P5 anyway. But yeah, he's going for another lap it seems, but he's super low on the ERS, so might have to dive back in the pit lane there to regenerate that battery and put on some fresh sauce. Otherwise he's wasting a little bit of time there to get his other runs in on the fresh set of the soft compound tyres. Harry Palmer coming towards the final corner now, and let's see what lap time he can set in the Alfa Romeo. And he makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 30.2, and he puts his Alpha into P12 just behind Nacho. But yeah, first part of qualifying then, it is George Greaves who is showing the pace in that Mercedes with quick colour. The AlphaTauri separated both Mercedes, the second man in the 28s, and he's got a decent gap over Deluxey in P3 as well. So it looks like both Mercedes there is showing some good pace as George Greaves, the reserve driver, back for a return after missing one race, and then he returned in USA, and he could have won the race, but he got himself a drive-through penalty as he sped under the safety car. Last week's race winner, Veloci Ayoub, purple in the middle sector. Can he put a challenge on the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri in P1 and P2 there? Can he? Let's see where he can go. That is, makes his way towards that final corner. And let's see where Veloci Ayoub will place his car as it makes his way towards the line. Now it's going to be a 28.8, and not too far away from Quick Colour in P2. Veloci Ayoub on the second row along with Deluxey there. And George says he is full time now, so I'll be very interested to see what he can do in this later part of the season. I don't think he can challenge for the championship. Even if he has good pace, I think that's well out of his grasp, and all he can do there is show what other guys what he's capable of. Ferguson goes up into P12 in the Red Bull. We're still waiting for our championship leader to set a lap time. He's currently sat in the pit lane with 5 drivers not setting a lap time, which is Bunnies, MKP, Little One, that guy Draper and Chugs. Those two can't do anything about it because they're both retired from the session, but we've got MKP making his way towards the final corner, turns the CRS off as well, so yeah, it's going to be a 30.2 and not showing his full potential so far. And yeah, so he's in the 30s, but obviously you can see he did turn his ERS off, so I'm not quite sure why he did that. Maybe he thought it wasn't a good lap time, just turn off the ERS and just wait. But you can see there multiple drivers going for more than 2 or 3 laps on those set of soft compound tyres, just getting a feel for this track, waiting to put on a brand new set and finding the full limits of this circuit as we're approaching 9 minutes. As George Greaves then is out again for his outlap, as Craigo there still in P5. So Craigo, despite a few mistakes on his first flying lap, he's still got a lot to improve on, so he's currently in a decent position. And let's see then, can this man get himself in the 28s? Our first race winner of the season back at the Chinese Grand Prix. But let's see what he can do there. Approaching about 207 miles an hour in the first on the first long straight, coming out of turn number 1, coming into turn number 2 then. Very important to get this one right. As we come out of turn number 3, then DRS wide open for the second straight, another place to overtake as we head into turn number 4 now. Into third gear we go. Back on the throttle immediately, using all the shock on the outside. And let's see how much time he's found in the first sector. 1100s up in the first sector is Craigo, so can he keep it up? Going into turn number 8 is where he went deep. Can he hook it up this time? Get as close as he can as he kisses the apex then. Very nicely through there, gets back on the throttle immediately as we head into the double left-handers, turn 9 and turn number 10. He went wide through here as well, but this time keeps it nice and clean and tidy. Coming out of turn number 10, third DRS zone, into turn 11 we go then as we make our way down. It's this left-hander minimum speed corner, or low speed corner. But as we make our way now, it's this fast right-hander, don't want to be touching that inside curb as it will send your car into a spin. He is 2 tenths up on his lap, and this lap We'll put him ahead of Deluxey unless he can find more time, of course, to get himself in the 28s, but it looks like he's going that way so far. Let's see how much time he can find in this last sector. Only 2 corners in this last sector. Went a bit deep there into that final corner, so might have lost a little bit of time as we'll make our way towards the line now. Let's see what lap time this is. It's a 29.1 then, so he did lose a little bit of time in that last sector. As Fandango puts his McLaren into P7, he was also a man to watch out for the Hungarian Grand Prix, but his pace was good, but his consistency needed improving because he did go for a few spins at the Hungarian Grand Prix. He qualified P3, I believe, at the Hungarian Grand Prix. He has shown glimpses of decent pace this season, but he just can't quite match it all together with the pace, the consistency. I remember the Baku Grand Prix where he had such good pace. He was on course for a podium, but it all unfolded after the safety car went away. And Harry Palmer has crashed out, coming out of turn number 3 then, so that is it for him. When Nikita Mazepin crashed back in 2021 on his first race. 2021 was 2 years ago, can you believe it or not? That's how much time has flown since then. I remember it like yesterday. But Dragon of Speed coming towards turn number 1 now, 233 kilometers an hour. His straight line speed has been amazing in the last few races. He's been a force to be reckoned with on the straight. I'm not likely to be stuck behind him on the straights at all. Good straight line speed on the Aston Martin as we make our way down into turn number 4 then. His teammates in P5, he's 5 places below him. Can he improve on a 29.6 as he makes his way coming out of the first sector? Already 2 tenths up, so that's a good sign there from Dragon of Speed as he makes his way down into turn number 8. The German driver in the Aston Martin. Into third gear we go. Can he get a good exit cut out of here? And yes, he can. No signs of wheel spin on the exit. Coming down into turn number 9 and turn number 10. Let's see what he takes it through here. Takes a bit too much curb on the entry, but nevertheless the car settles as he short shifts up into 4th gear to reduce traction. Onto this 3rd DRS zone now as we make our way down into turn number 11. We go into 5th gear. Want to keep off the outside curb because that will send your car into a spin. Going into turn number 12 should be a flat out corner as George Greaves raises the mark, and it's a 28.6 there for the Mercedes driver as he continuously improving. Then can anybody out there stop him? As we've got the Ferrari of Veloci Ayob then on their lap time. We've got Deluxey in P4 who's made a return here after making his full-time debut here, well, his debut here a few races ago, as Dragon of Speed goes into P5, so he gets above his teammate with a 29.0, only a few hundreds off Deluxey. Deluxey is not improving on his lap time, it seems like. He's down and he's running out of ERS and fuel, and probably out of options as well, so he has to come back in the pit lane to stick on a brand new set of the soft compound tyres. Our championship leader, Little One, is currently in P9 as Veloci Ayob goes into P1 with a 28.3 and puts a margin between himself and George Greaves by 3 tenths. So George Greaves there said he's found some good pace, but it's not good enough for Veloci Ayob in P1 there. And let's see then, can George Greaves find 3 tenths on his final flying lap to dethrone Veloci Ayob for pole position? Polish man in the Williams is going to go for a flying lap. Let's see if he's on his brand new set of softs. Yes, he is then, so he's on a brand new set of soft compound tyres. Bearing in mind though, George Greaves did do George Hargreaves, sorry about that. George Hargreaves did do 2 laps on those set of soft compound tyres then, so we know the tyre wears quite high around here. Maybe he's got more in his disposal, maybe he's got more in his locker to show. Polish man, let's see how much time he's up. He's down by 1100s, but he can find that time up in the middle sector. No, he can't, because he's gone for a little bit of a spin, has Polish man then, so we lost it at the exit of turn number 7. And unfortunately has ruined his lap time then, so hopefully he can save some ERS and cool the tyres down. Those tyres should be in good shape. He didn't lock them up too much, did the Williams driver, but that'll definitely put him on the back foot then. Probably a lack of confidence as well. Let's see what Leon's doing in this middle sector. What is it, 2 tenths up or down? He's 2 tenths up is Leon in this middle sector. And let's see there, can he put himself inside the top 10? If this lap time does continue from Leon, or can find more time, he should find himself inside the top 10. Is the RP driver. His teammate down in P14 as well is also struggling, who's currently 3rd in the championship, is Ross. As he makes his way towards the line, he puts himself into P8 behind Polish man in P7. Majority of the drivers are in the pit lane then. We're just waiting for the action to unfold as Ferguson in the Red Bull makes his way down into turn number 1. as all the drivers then will put on a brand new set of soft compound tyres ready for the last few remaining minutes of this qualifying session. It will be very interesting to see who can take pole position away from Veloci Ayob Jr. Quick Killer in the AlphaTauri, he's doing an amazing job in P3 there. Nice to see him up there. MKP down in P17, unfortunately for him, but hopefully he can find some time. Jay Hartnell as well, one to watch out for. He's scored a few podiums this season, been up there as well in the top 5. He's currently down in P15 there, so desperately needs to find a good lap time to get himself out of P15. But a little one there, what can he do? His best lap time is on the soft compound tyres. He's done 3 laps on this set of soft compound tyres, and he's currently 1.1 seconds behind Veloci Ayob then. So the man he was fighting in the USA and at the Hungarian Grand Prix just can't quite seem to get close this time round, and has to find a huge amount of time to get even close to him. Ferguson 4 tenths up in the middle sector there. It's going to be 29.5, but Veloci Ayob Jr. has retired from the session then, so qualifying is done and dusted for him. He'll be watching on with 2 minutes left to go in this session as we await all the drivers to come out the pit lane now, which they should do. George Hargreaves is still in the pit lane. He should come out right now. Ferguson makes his way towards the line. What's it going to be from him? He puts his Red Bull inside the top 10 then. Good lap time. And he forces the little one outside the top 10, but the little one then on his final lap of qualifying as George Hargreaves has left it quite late. 1 minute 30 seconds left to go. He's just came out the pit lane, so he needs to get a move on here if he wants to get his last lap time in. I believe somebody else just came out the pit lane with him, which is Red Bull, but George Hargreaves needs to get a lap time in then, or he needs to push on his outlap to make sure he gets over the line, but obviously not push too much to make sure the tyre temperature is in the right window for flying lap in Bahrain. Little one making his way without turn number 4 there. His first sector, what's it going to be for him? How much time has he found? 2 tenths up in his first sector then for Little one, our championship leader, being pursued by Veloci Ayob Jr. on his late season charge. Leon has retired from the session. Dragging on speed, both Aston Martins are having a decent performance here tonight in Bahrain. Those two are good teammates, seem to be working well with each other. As Little one there comes out of turn number 10 now. DRS wide open on this third straight as we make our way down into turn number 11 we go. Into fourth gear we go, hugging the inside curb, just waiting to get on the throttle there to make sure he has traction. As we make our way into turn number 12 we go, flat out through there, a little bit understeer, as 5 tenths up in this middle sector is Little one, but sadly for him it's not enough to dethrone Veloci Ayob from P1. What about George Greaves? With 40 seconds left to go, he's in a McLaren sandwich, unless that's his teammate of course. I think it's Deluxy who's right there. But we've got Mercedes making his way towards that final corner. I think everybody's on a lap time now. Little one goes P2 then, so he managed to get ahead of George Hargreaves, who's on his final flying lap, heading into turn 2 we go. As we make our way down into turn number 3 then. Who's that car ahead of us? Hopefully he gets out of the way, or unless he's on a lap time. I did say he was in the McLaren sandwich, so that must have been him. And unfortunately there, is that Fandango ahead of us? I'm not quite sure who it is. Yeah, it is Fandango, as Jay Hartnell pops himself up into P6 in the Red Bull. Finally, the Red Bull driver found some good time, and he puts his car into P4. But Dragon of Speed goes into P4 now, completed his final flying lap in the Aston Martin. We've got a Haas of Mazzles there in P13, 4 tenths up in this middle sector. What can he do then in the Haas coming towards the final corner? Can he get himself inside the top 10 as the Haas makes his way towards the final corner? It's P8, 28.9 for Mazzles, as his teammate Bunnies is in P15. He's found 2 tenths in this middle sector, has Bunnies making his way towards the final corner now. Let's see where Bunnies could go in the Haas then. I think his first appearance here in CRL, making his way towards the line. It's P10, so he puts himself inside the top 10. Polish man in P11 goes into P9 then. And the AlphaTauri looks like he's spun coming out of the final corner. Who was that? Was that Quick Killer? Yes, he was. He was up. But what about George Greaves making his way towards the line or in the pit lane? So George Hargreaves did not find any more time on his final flying lap. Maybe got held up by the McLaren a bit, I'm not quite sure. But qualifying is done and dusted. Little one there, pulling it out of the bag at the very last minute, it must be said, and putting his car into P2, just separated by 3,000 between himself and George Hargreaves. Dragon of Speed, one of the outstanding performance from both Aston Martins. Quick Killer, another outstanding performance for him in P5. but the guys below, such as MKP, Nacho, Ross, Ferguson, and Dango as well, Harry Palmer, Chugs, and that guy Draper did not get a lot of time in. Draper going straight off the track at turn number 1 and turn number 4. Qualifying and done and dusted, we're ready for the race then ahead of us. 29 laps around the Bahrain Grand Prix International Circuit. And Veloci Ayob, can he continue his winning streak? Can he make it 3 wins in a row or 4 altogether? He's been on a winning streak recently as Veloci Ayob Jr. And looks like he's on course to be again with a decent gap over 3 tenths. Could anybody stop him heading into the race? Going for his 4th victory of the season, trying to reduce that championship deficit he has between himself and Little One. But once we get into the race, I'll take a short break and I'll be back very shortly. I'm not gone, random human, I'm still here, checking the comments. Right boys, we're finally loaded in the session then. I just noticed as well that Quick Killer is KXI's replacement as well, so Kalen unfortunately is not here with us tonight. Scored a 2nd podium this season, did Kalen. Finished in P3 at the Hungarian Grand Prix, defended from J Hart now. Yes, looks like Veloci Elb then's gone for a spin coming out of turn number 3. Hopefully he doesn't replicate that during the race. It is a 29 lap race as well. Let's see what tyres everybody's opted to go for then. So Craigo, Quick Killer, J Hart now, Ferguson, Chugs and that guy Draper have all opted to go on the faster medium compound tyres, which should give them the boost they need off the line to make as many places up as they can. But the top 4 are on the hard compound tyres. Dragon Speed finds himself 3 medium runners behind him, and one of them is his teammate as well. So both Aston Martins there splitting strategies, and let's see how it pays out for them as well. I know Craigo likes to go on the softer compound tyres during the first stint of the race. He's done it quite a few times this season as well, like starting on the softer compound tyre. No super soft tyres being used at the first opening part of this race then, as you expect. It's all mediums to hards or hards to mediums. No soft tyres will be used at any stage unless the late safety car does come out. As Random Human gives his best wishes to everybody except George Hargreaves. But it's nice to see George Hargreaves back racing after his last appearance in USA, where he picked up a drive-through penalty under a safety car for speeding, and that gave Veloci Ayoub Jr. his second win of the season, then his third in Hungary. Can he make it fourth here tonight? His third in a row for Veloci Ayoub if he does it here tonight at Bahrain, as everybody gets the tyre temperatures then. Let's see how this race goes. Deluxy makes his return as well. Nice to see him back. He starts in P10 as all the drivers then make their way towards the line, ready for the 29 lap race we have in store ahead of us. Who will make it into turn number 1 first? Little one has the inside line. Can he get a better start like he did at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where he sailed his way through past second and third place, taking the challenge towards Veloci Ayoub in the first corner? Or Veloci Ayoub, does he have it covered? What about George Hargreaves in P3, Dragon and Speed in P4? Those medium runners right behind us, what can they do? My name is Indigo, and I'll be taking you through this 29 lap race ahead of us. 5 lights are on, and we are underway then for round 11 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Little one gets an amazing launch there. You can see a bit of wheel spin for Veloci Ayoub. You can see there bits of carbon fibre as the McLaren has crashed out of the race. Into turn number 1 we go then. And George Greaves trying to stick it around the outside, has the inside line for turn number 2, then into turn 3 we go. So Veloci Ayoub Jr. has lost a place, well, towards George Greaves and Little One, as down the inside comes quickly. We've got a Red Bull that's spinning in the background. George Greaves made contact, the Alpha Tauri's made contact too. Looks like a few cars have caught themselves in a spin as they're all jockeying for position there, trying to get temperature of the tyres. Looks like some drivers have got caught out breaking themselves and hitting the back of each other. George Greaves is in a spin as well. What about Veloci Ayoub? It looks like he made it out of there unscathed, but he did hit the back of George Greaves. And George Greaves, where is he? He is down in P4. Well, he did lose too much there, despite getting hit. I thought he fully spun out. But the AlphaTauri Quick Killer did get hit into turn number 4, and he's down in P9 then, so unfortunate for him. As 3 drivers there spun at that corner. Crago versus Dragon of Speed. Dragon of Speed and Crago have lost positions at the start of the race as well. As Little One then has a lead of 2.7 seconds then. What a dream start there from Little One, as the Aston Martin is under pressure from Quick Killer, and that's Quick Killer going around the outside, but Mazzles has been overtaken then by George Hargreaves. He moves himself back into P3, but George Hargreaves then will be frustrated at the start of the race, where he claimed P2 away from Veloci Ayoub Jr., but unfortunately got tagged by him, whereas Quick Killer got tagged by somebody behind him. All jockey for position, as you can see the Alfa Romeo and Haas going side by side. Polishman has overtaken Mazzles, as Mazzles is in the pit lane then. So Mazzles, the man, was in the podium momentarily, as Polishman's putting pressure on George Hargreaves there. Into turn 1 we go. Has George sustained any damage, I wonder, being hit from behind? And apologies about the black box there, somebody invited me to an F1 lobby. As we can see there, look at how many people's in the pits. Almost half the field. In fact, half the field are in the pits then. And the first opening lap of this race, we saw a McLaren go off the track and a Red Bull 2 at the first part of the race. But there's major drama then in the first 2 laps. I'm surprised the safety car didn't come out to stop it all. And Quick Killer there on the medium compound tyres, falling backwards rather than going forwards than he would have wanted on those better tyres this stage of the race. But it looks like we've got Alfa Williams going for a spin. That was Nacho coming out of turn number 4 there, going for a little bit of a spin it seems like, but gets his car back on the road, and he's surrounded by hard medium runners right behind. But George Hargreaves, despite having contact into turn number 4, no first lap incident. It is a first lap incident, mate. It is, but I can't obviously go back and replay it because a lot of things happened and I couldn't quite catch it all or what happened. But Veloci Ayoub, the gap was 2.7, now it's 1.8, so he's definitely gaining a lot of time. As Polishman's gone for a spin coming out the final corner. The man has got good pace, but unfortunately he does make a few mistakes now and then, and it just cost him a load of time and a potential podium as well back in USA. And talk about spinning, the second Williams has gone for a spin once again. That is Nacho then. Nacho has actually caused a safety car. That's where Latifi stopped, it's back in 2020, and that's where it caused a safety car as well. So Nacho there has caused a safety car. No, a virtual safety car. I think it is a virtual safety car. So a virtual safety car has been deployed to slow this race down. And we could get racing once again then, as half the field did pit on the first few laps of this race. Quite chaotic as well, it must be said. Obviously I couldn't see all of it, but I tried to catch most of it. But all I know is that incident down at turn number 4 forced a lot of drivers into the pit lane, and more drivers in the pit lane to change their tyres in as well. As DRS has been enabled then, as the virtual safety car is away. And despite that, Veloci Ayob then, hopefully he hasn't sustained any damage himself. He was later on the brakes in going down into turn number 4, but looks like he's got away damage free. Deluxy then finds himself under pressure from Dragon of Speed. Both Mercedes up into P3 and P4. Deluxy, the man that started, I think it was P10 where he started, he finds himself now up into P4. Yes, it was P10 then, so he gained a lot of positions at other drivers' expense there. And now he finds himself under pressure, using a lot of ERS as well for good measure against Dragon of Speed. We know Dragon of Speed's got good straight line speed on the straights, so I wonder how Deluxy can defend against that, because Dragon of Speed will be coming at him with mighty pace. And talk about mighty pace, Veloci Ayob is actually almost inside 1 second range of DRS there. So looks like Little One then has to get a move on, because Veloci Ayob is closing him down very quickly. The gap was 2.8 seconds as a few laps ago, now it's 1.1, so Veloci Ayob Jr. has found a lot of time on Little One. And Little One has to respond immediately then to survive the threat from Veloci Ayob Jr. But look at George then, going off the track, coming out of turn number 8, going into turn number 9 right now. He's the leader of this DRS train behind him, with Deluxy, Dragon of Speed and Quickquiller. But Quickquiller, I'm mixing my words up here. Quickquiller, unfortunately for him in the AlphaTauri, is in the worst place to be in a DRS train, especially the medium compound tyres, because he wants to capitalise on them to move himself up the order and try and pull away on those medium compound tyres before the Harvarders make their pit stop and go on the mediums. However, further behind in P13, Chugs has got past Ferguson, who's on soft compound tyres. You expect him to be quick as well, being on the soft compound tyres. But Polishman has gone for another spin, and yeah, he doesn't like this game whatsoever. I know he talks about how he suffers in this game. I know what it feels like as well. It's just quite difficult, but we can see the Red Bull and the Haas going side by side of Bunnies and Ferguson. And look, that was a lovely move around the outside. And look at that, he's got 2 of them now as Bunny moves himself up into P13. And Chugs has lost 2 positions there, so I wonder what happened to him. It looks like he just didn't pick up the throttle coming out of turn number 10. Now he's coming back on the Red Bull, trying to go around the outside into turn number 12. Don't want to be turning the EOS on, especially in a high speed corner like that, into turn number 12. But the battle continues then between P3 all the way down to P6. Quickquiller being a big disadvantage behind the Harvarders and stuck in the DRS train with the Harvarders too. He just can't quite make up any positions being stuck in that DRS train, as Veloci Ayob Jr. continues to put pressure on Little One. He keeps finding himself inside DRS, and just outside of it is Veloci Ayob Jr. So I wonder if Little One there has picked up a little bit of pace to try and pull away from Veloci Ayob Jr. As Bunnies and Chugs are going side by side once again. Then as Chugs has lost a place towards Bunnies once again, as Quickquiller is side by side now with Craig, Dragon of Speed, and he goes up the inside into turn number 11 we go. Don't really see many overtakes happening on that particular part of the track, but he makes it stick and he moves himself up into P5 then, capitalising on those medium compound tyres with the extra grip he has in the corners, and he overtakes Dragon of Speed then. Next target is Deluxy, who has his teammate ahead of him, and his teammate looks like he's unable to close that gap down now between Veloci Ayob and himself. So looks like George Hargreaves will have to focus on the guys behind, because there's nothing he could do to drop that gap down. With 4.6 seconds between himself and Veloci Ayob is just too much of a big stretch to pull down, as Veloci Ayob then is focused on the battle with Little One. And Little One, if he wins this race, then there's bad news for me. You understand why later. But George Hargreaves then doing a good job defending from the guys behind, as Polishman then finds himself behind Leon. They're both on the hard compound tyres. Polishman then putting pressure on the Alpine ahead of him. Chugs picks himself up a 5 second time penalty for spinning the pit lane. Unfortunately, he's on 4 laps on his medium compound tyres, so I wonder if he sustained any front wing damage earlier on. I'm not quite sure. But Polish man has caught up to Leon as he continues to pursue him. He's actually right behind him, so we'll keep an eye on that. As he pulls out to go down the inside into turn number 11 we go. And he moves himself up into P7. But what's happened to Veloci Aob? I think Veloci Aob's gone for a spin. Yes, he has. Coming out of turn number 13. Veloci Aob has gone for a spin. And now he finds himself in that DRS train right behind George Greaves. Deluxe here dragging on speed. What's happened to Quick Killer? Because I noticed when I flicked on board with him, he went for a spin himself. So 2 cars have gone for a spin coming out of turn number 13 there. And now Veloci Aob then finds himself in a big disadvantage in P5, having a lot of pace, but unfortunately throwing it all away. Coming out of turn number 13, that's going to cost him huge amounts now as Leon overtakes Polish man, re-overtakes him for P7. And this will be a thriller battle between those two. It will be seen as those two then continue their fight coming out of turn number 2 and turn number 3 with Polish man right all over the back of him. He did it at turn number 12 last time. Now it's turn number 4. He goes up the inside, but Leon tries to stick it around the outside. Can he do so? Looks like he's got better traction than the Williams driver. Yes, he does then. So Leon there remains in P7 ahead of Polish man. What else could Polish man do? Almost at the back of him did the Williams driver. And Bunnies has got past Ferguson. He moves himself up into P13 ahead of the Red Bull driver. Oh, Polish man's just hit the back of Leon, but he knows he's at fault there, so he slowed down to make sure he didn't overtake him. But Leon won't be happy with that one at all, and Polish man is surprised he hasn't got any front wing damage because of the impact between those two. But Leon has been overtaken by Polish man once again in the same corner. But will Leon get him back down the inside? Look at MKP down in P9 closing in as well. MKP started where? I think it was outside. And Chugs then is out of the race. And what happened to where's MKP? He started down in P17. Did the McLaren driver then. As dragging on speed then is right alongside Deluxe as he moves himself up into P3. Dragging on speed finds himself on the podium is the Aston Martin German driver. And last time out in the Hungarian Grand Prix, I think he finished inside the top 9. Yeah, it was 9th place, but he finished last time as Polish man has got himself ahead of Leon for P7. And there's yellow flags in this particular part of the section, so is anybody spun coming out of here? No, it's just the Ferrari car which is causing the yellow flags now. But Little One then, Little One can relax just a little bit and breathe because Veloci Aob is spun and he knows it as well. Veloci Aob, oh, Polish man's going for another spin coming out of turn number 3 there. The Williams car just seems to be on edge. And every time Polish man just pushes it around, it looks like the back end of the car just steps out on him. Whether he gets on sort of too early or not, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, he definitely doesn't like the way that Williams is handling at the moment after 3 consecutive spins in this race. But ever since these two have battled, looks like George Hargreaves has actually pulled away from dragging on speed. The gap is 1.8, so they were in the DRS train, but somehow it's broken now. And dragging on speed is left exposed towards Veloci Aob and Deluxe. With Quick Killer spinning on those medium compound tyres in P6 there, one of them in any favours whatsoever after not capitalising on them. And he hasn't made up the time he wants to on those guys ahead to try and jump them once they go on the medium compound tyres towards the end of their hard stint. With 20 laps to go in this race, it's looking good for Little One so far. He's not under threat from nobody whatsoever. The gap is 5.4 seconds between himself and George Hargreaves. And George Hargreaves stepping in the race for the first time since the USA Grand Prix. As MKP has overtaken Leon, then he moves himself up into P7. I told you he was closed in on those guys, and he's done so. And now he's overtaken MKP or Leon to move himself up into P8. But Leon has got DRS on the back of MKP. Will he get him back down to turn number 4 we go? No, he stays behind for the time being. He's not close enough to make any sort of impression going down into T4. But both AlphaTauris have spun at the same time in different places. There's Quick Killer and there's that guy Draper down in P18. So they both spun at the same time, but just in different places. Just like both Alfa Romeos back in qualifying. But Quick Killer then, unfortunately, on those medium compound tyres, are they starting to overheat a little bit, I wonder, because those mediums at the start of the race with heavy fuel and not the grip as well, maybe overheated slightly, losing a bit of grip as well. because it's coming towards the end, well not the end, but the peak performance of their tyre life is starting to degrade just a little bit, and I dare say Quickler is feeling that though. He's been overtaken by Craigo, and Craigo's dropped back quite a lot as well. The man started in P5 but he's down in P10, so I wonder what happened to him. He did make an early pit stop as well, did Craigo. Quickler's been on those tyres I think ever since he started the race. In fact we can have a look, can't we, because there we go, Quickler hasn't pitted, Craigo and Mazzles has. And interesting there from Craigo. I'm not quite sure what happened to him a few laps ago, because there was a lot going on in the race beforehand, and Deluxey then right behind Dragon of Speed, looking to retake it for P3. Dragon of Speed immediately goes defensive on the left hand side, forcing Deluxey around the outside. Let's see what the Mercedes driver will do. Try and do a switchback as he's forced to outbrake himself. Dragon of Speed. Deluxey doesn't have enough room to go down the inside. Thought better of it, of course. And I wonder what's happened to Veloci Aob as well, because he's dropped outside the 1 second range of DRS. So I wonder if that spin just affected him, of Deluxey there getting out of shape coming out of turn number 8. And that'll definitely allow Dragon of Speed to pull away and Veloci Aob to edge closer towards him as well. So Deluxey can't afford to make any of these mistakes. He's actually outside the 1 second range of DRS, but with having DRS on this particular part of the track, he should be able to get himself back in, which is dragging Veloci Aob Jr. towards them as well. But quickly on there on those medium compound tyres then. Just wonder if he started to struggle just a little bit as the car just steps out on him without him noticing. The car just snap on you any time as well, but he's still putting pressure on Craigo ahead of him. Focusing, taking those softs a long way, down in P14 there. 8 laps on those set of soft compound tyres. Those tyres will be definitely degraded for sure. Those softs can't last a long way there, and he's managed to do so somehow. 8 laps on those soft compound tyres. But as you can see there, they're fading away for him, so hopefully he doesn't suffer a puncture and pits at the right moment. Leon's still putting pressure on MKP, and MKP's on a phenomenal drive from P18 on the grid, or P17 sorry. He's too far behind to make any sort of impression on Veloci Aob Jr. The field is split after the first lap chaos we had. And that's why a majority of them are far away from each other. As Quickler then puts pressure on the Aston Martin, he makes his way down the inside into turn 1. He brakes quite early to make sure his DRS to the second part of this straight, and that'll help him once again then to go down the inside or on the outside into turn number 4. It looks like he'll go down in the inside into turn number 4. He goes. Later to the brakes is the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri. Is the Aston Martin trying to stick around the outside? Yes, he can then. But looks like the AlphaTauri's got better traction. And oh no, they both make contact and they both get sent to a spin. And what's happened to Dragon of Speed further ahead? He's lost 2 places. Dragon of Speed has gone for a little bit of a mistake as well, of a spin. Did he spin coming out of turn number 11 there? I'm not quite sure. And that's for Veloci Aob to be all over the back of Deluxey then. Dragon of Speed has lost 2 places. Craigo has lost a lot of places along with Quickler after making contact. Both connecting wheels going into turn number 7 there. Or turn number 6 I think. But looks like then Deluxey is in the pit lane to change over to the medium compound tyres. And that has released Veloci Aob Jr. then up into P3. But what happened to Dragon of Speed, I wonder? Did he just lose it by himself? Did he make contact with Deluxey? I'm not quite sure. But he's lost a lot of time now towards Veloci Aob, leaving him alone for the race now, because he's got a big gap over behind George Hargreaves and ahead of Dragon of Speed too. Mazzles is up into P8 after making an early pit stop in this race. I dare say getting caught up in that first lap incident, because we saw half the field in the pit lane on the first lap, no joke. I'm just wondering if that was a bit too early to make a pit stop there for Deluxey. I think 15 laps is doable on the medium compound tyres, but not ideal of course. So gotta watch out for those tyres during the end of the stint there, as he went for an early pit stop to try and do the undercut on Veloci Aob and his competitors around him. But the more you extend on those hard compound tyres, the better it is for you during the later stages of the race. Taking the hards as long as you can to try and reduce that medium stint, so the mediums don't wear out too much or go through a lot of laps around this particular part of the track as well, where it's not good for tyre wear. I've seen a lot of people struggling as well, spinning out of high-speed corners. But I wonder then, let's see what Deluxey can do from P10. No safety cars in this race so far. We've had quite a few at the USA Grand Prix. We had no safety cars at the Hungarian Grand Prix either, so quite a clean on safety cars for the time being, as Leon then has overtaken MKP, but MKP is late on the brakes into turn 1. He goes deep, and I think Leon will have DRS then, as he's alongside him. It's turn number 2 now. It's turn number 3 we go, and Leon then has the DRS on MKP. Should have the straight line speed to overtake him. Going down into turn number 4 we go. Late to the brakes of the Alpine, and moves himself up into P5, or does he? Because MKP is coming back underneath him as they make their way into turn 6 and turn 7. MKP is back ahead of the Alpine, but the Alpine goes around the outside, and now it's the inside line going into turn number 8. This is good racing from these two, as Leon there is up to P5, just ahead of MKP. And MKP then looking all over the back of him, knowing he has the DRS this time round, and we try and overtake him later on in the race. He's actually going to do it right now on this third DRS straight, and he moves himself up back into P5, head into turn 11 we go. McLaren driver is up there back into P5. Alpine is actually trying to come back around the outside, but can't quite do on that occasion then, as heading into turn 13 we go. So battle to keep an eye on those two as well, MKP and Leon. MKP started P17, he's currently up to P5. There's a massive field spread between the field, because majority of them got caught up in a first lap incident. There's a big crash going into turn number 4 there, with 3 drivers spinning, and that's why there's a big gap forming between all these drivers. Bahrain always puts on a show, but thanks to the incidents, it's caused a huge separation in the field, and therefore not many exciting battles for the top of the timing sheets. It would have been an interesting battle between Little One George, Veloci Elb, and yeah, hopefully I would have hoped to see those 3 battle it out. But I think George will prefer a quiet race after what happened in USA. I think he's happy to just have a quiet race in P2. Not risk it all. Veloci Elba will be desperately pushing to try and take P2 back away from him, because he had the pace earlier in the first opening stint of this race, but ever since that spin he's 5.7 seconds behind. Can he close that gap down? Because he managed to extend it in the first opening lap when he was trying to pursue Little One, but this time round it's going to be a big struggle to try and reduce a gap of 5.8 seconds, and being on the same tyres too. Been a big much of an ask as well. As you can see there, nobody responded to Deluxe's pit stop in terms of George Greaves, Hargreaves, Veloci Elb, Dragon of Speed. They're extending on those hard compound tyres, so they're not really responding to Deluxe. The more they go on the hards, the better. George has trauma. What are you talking about USA when he had that drive-through penalty? Yeah, he won't be doing that again, will he? He'll be paying fully attention. You've got to have your wits about you under a safety car. Even if you are going slow, still got to watch out for the Delta. As these two continue their battle, their Dragon of Speed seems to pull away from MKP and Leon. So he's in a world of his own now. It's Dragon of Speed. Made a few mistakes in this race as well, along with his teammate Crago in P12 is actually in the pit lane to get rid of those medium compound tyres. Yeah, interestingly, Deluxe pits on lap 12, and looks like the medium runners are taking their mediums 13 or 14 laps then, so I dare say Deluxe should have stayed out, but I wonder how his tyre life will pay off in the end. Can he manage to hold on to those tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix? Random Human, do you race in League Racing, mate? You seem to know George pretty well. Have you raced against him? Do you race against him? But yeah, there's not much going on in this race right now. Just going on board with the guys below to give them screen time. We've got Fandango and P17. That guy Draper on his return. We didn't see much of him in qualifying, but I dare say hence why he went off at turn 1 and turn number 4. Nacho spinning a few times in the race as well. He spun at the Hungarian Grand Prix coming out of turn number 4, but Leon is right to the back of MKP In fact, he stayed behind him because he didn't want to overtake him, as he knows he has DRS into turn number 1. And MKP not going to pit lane, he's just trying to break the toe, but there's not much he can break because he's right behind you now, alongside you, now ahead of you, and moves himself up into P5. We've got 2 drivers in the pit lane, which is Polish Man and Mazel's then. Mazel's there taking his mediums 14 laps in this race, and they don't look too bad so far, so I think Deluxy has a chance, of course, to try and take those tyres towards the end of the race, but it'll be a big stretch if there's no safety car in that time period. Nah, I'm just a TP. I'm just a TP. I'm trying to... What's a TP, by the way, Random Human? I'm trying to think, but, yeah. I don't have the facilities to race, and I'm a woman. Can't drive, don't have the games. Oh. Are you George's girlfriend? But, MKP then, still over the back of Leon. TP, team principal. Oh, you're a team principal. And somebody's gone for a spin. Who is that? Is that Bunny? He's gone for a spin? Yes, it is. The Hassman has gone for a spin, and he lets his teammate go as well. A lot of gravel on his tyres. Hopefully he can clear that up as well. But Craigo, what's happened to him in the Aston Martin there? Looks like he's dropped a few positions. He's down in P15 now. And Harry Palmer too. Looks like he's got caught up in those yellow flags too. It's dragging the speed that the other Aston Martin has made is going for a pit stop. And onto the medium compound tyres he goes as he takes out one of the Haas members. I'm George's arch enemy, says Random Human. As Leon is also in the pit lane then. So let's see where Deluxy is on the circuit. He's overtaken Ross as Ross heads off into the pit lane. that's a good one, Random Human. Deluxy then, he does not rejoin ahead of Dragon of Speed. That's interesting there, because Deluxy's been on those tyres for 5 laps and has not managed to undercut him. So that's really interesting, being on those old hards against new mediums. And more drivers then are in the pit lane as Polish Man rejoins ahead of Ross. Into P9 he goes. Next driver ahead of him is Mazel's, is quite further up the road, so it'll be hard to catch from there. I'm George's sidekick. But yeah, that's interesting from Deluxy then, being on those tyres for 5 laps and he's not managed to undercut Dragon of Speed. So Dragon of Speed's pace has been mighty, but he's all over the back of him now because Dragon of Speed's got to warm up those medium compound tyres, get him in the window, as Little One then is in the pit lane as Deluxy has overtaken Dragon of Speed, moves himself up into P5. But I dare say, once those tyres start to warm up, and that's where Dragon of Speed will come back into play and inevitably get him due to the pace he has in the Aston Martin. Well, one Aston Martin's having a good race, the other one is struggling just a little bit as Bunny goes off the track there, coming out of turn number 7. We don't want to be doing that more than twice because you'll pick yourself up a 3-second time penalty. But Dragon of Speed then, we'll have DRS as we make our way down the straight. As he got the straight line speed to re-overtake Deluxy. He knows he's derated on the straight then, is Deluxy. What will Dragon of Speed do then? Will he decide to fight him earlier or later? Heck, there is George Hargreaves right at the back of the McLaren, but obviously George Hargreaves doesn't want to risk it too much being stuck behind the McLaren. He doesn't want to go for optimistic moves that could lead into collisions. You just want to play it nice and safe and just dispose him as quick as you can somewhere on the straights. Don't want to lose a lot of time either behind him, so got to pick your right moments to overtake the old hard runner. But it must be said, MKP has done a fantastic job so far in this race. Started from P17 up into P3 as Ross has been overtaken by his teammate. What's happened to him there? Because those two are saying they swap positions, but he's quite far behind. Is Ross, unless he went for a spin, of course. Grego finds himself behind Bunny once again. And Bunny's there showing decent pace in the house to keep that Aston Martin at bay. But Polish Man has gone for his 4th spin. And this time, I thought he lost his front wing. But due to the fade and colour of that Williams, that caught me off guard a little bit. I thought he actually did lose his front wing. Not the first time it's caught me off guard either. Oh, yeah. Those mediums have had enough. Well, they've only been on for 2 laps. They must be overheating very quickly. I'm an Alfa Romeo team principal in another league race. I wish I had a driver that was that good. And here comes Dragon on speed. In fact, we've got an AlphaTauri who has crashed out, and that has triggered a safety car. As you can see in the black box on the right hand side of your screen, a safety car has been triggered in this race with 10 laps to go in this race. This could be very interesting. This will push the whole field up once again. And could we see an interesting race towards the end of the Grand Prix? It will help Veloci Ayo then in P1. Not made a pit stop just yet. And now he can take a free pit stop under the safety car and rejoin down in P2. And Little One then will have his hands full once again with Veloci Ayo. He was able to relax early in the race, but this time, this safety car bunching the whole field up once again, he'll have Veloci Ayo to deal with. And it's also benefited MKP down in P3 as well, because he won't lose a lot of time under the safety car as they're following the Delta there, so it's benefited him. So the guys who stayed out there on the hard compound tyres, it's definitely helped them in this race, and they can reduce that life on the mediums as well to take them to the end of the race with only about 8 laps to go. So that's definitely helped those hard runners out there. Veloci Ayo Jr. then has been helped by the safety car, because there was no way he could catch up to Little One. Now he's got a second chance in this race. Let's see where he rejoins in comparison to those around him. In fact, he's changed his front wing then, so that might indicate why he's lost some pace in that Ferrari. And now with his front wing change, he can go full speed once again with having the extra downforce on the car and showing his full pace once again then. So it's definitely helped him. Hasn't lost a lot of time. And where will he rejoin? He rejoins in P3 then, so not too bad for him, as MKP has fitted the soft compound tyres then. So that is very interesting. Those soft tyres, or a rubbish tyre around this circuit, they will die out very quickly. Even though there's like 8 laps to go in this race, and there's a Williams that's completely stopped there, getting out of people's way. He's the lap car, of course, that is Nacho down in P17. There's only one Williams now left in this race, as Polish man unfortunately has retired. But that guy Draper causing the safety car. Nacho there allowing everybody through. Hopefully he doesn't get disqualified for being stationary too long. In fact, that is Nacho. That stationary Williams was Polish man. I thought it was Nacho for some reason. Has Nacho been lapped? I ain't quite sure, to be honest with you. But yeah, he has been lapped. As you can see with Mercedes sliding through the corners. That was George Greaves there sliding through the corners. Now Veloci Ayo then Jr. has the fresh set of the medium compound tyres, because George Greaves and Little One had to go full speed on them for 2 laps. But Veloci Ayo Jr. looks like he's got a big advantage now on those guys ahead. Is this his second chance in this race to try and take the victory away from Little One? Little One will be deeply frustrated now that the safety cars came out, wiping his huge advantage. Yeah, I know it's George Hargreaves. I think I'm speaking too fast. I'm speaking too fast. Before I knew his name was George, I called him Hargreaves or Hargreaves because I thought he was Dutch, because Het Bompier actually called him Hargreaves for some reason. So before I knew his name was George, I actually called him Hargreaves. But now I know the safety cars came out. I'll take a little bit of a break and we'll be back when the safety car comes in. 2 drivers on the soft compound tyres, Mazzles and MKP inside the top 10. Watch out for them. They'll be lightning quick, but how long will those softs last for? Did they do any laps on those soft compound tyres in qualifying as well? Because you don't get any new set of soft compound tyres. So it looks like you're going to have to use them for their qualifying sets, depending if they use them or not, because I know some drivers did more than 2 or 3 laps on the same set of soft compound tyres. So not using all the allocated sets in their qualifying. Maybe they get one more brand new set of soft compound tyres, but will they last towards the end? Well, who knows. But so far, I dare say Veloci Ayo Jr. has the advantage in P3. Well done, George, for not getting a drive-through penalty this time, because last time you were under safety car, you got a drive-through penalty. So congrats for not getting a drive-through penalty this time on. You learn how to respect the delta. I'm only kidding, George, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight there for P1, P2, P3 with Dragon of Speed trying to reclaim a podium after spinning out, coming out of turn number 11 where we're headed into now. So which one of these drivers will come out on top? Watch out for MKP in P6, his tyres will not last for long either. And Mazel's in P9 too. Crago on the hard compound tyres, the only man on the hard, so I wonder why he didn't opt to go on the medium compound tyres. But safety car is in this lap then, as the Mercedes safety car will peel off into the pits, leaving those guys to battle it out in the last few laps of this race. Now the whole field has been bunched up for the first time since the first lap, so this should be a very interesting one then. Can Little One defend from George Hargreaves and Veloci Aero Jr.? Veloci Aero Jr. replacing his front wing will be able to give him extra pace now with fresher mediums and a brand new front wing. He hopes to get rid of that Williams because that Williams is out of place. He's lap car and I don't know why he can't lap yourself in the safety car, but Little One then is off and away as Crago gets a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Mazel's then. And they're both on different tyre compounds as well, as Craig goes on 2 steps softer as Quickler gets a 5-second time penalty for collision with Ferguson then. So quite a few drive-through 5-second time penalties, and the Aston Martin driver, his day gets from bad to worse as he gets a speeding penalty in the pit lane. Veloci Aero then did not get the best of exits coming out of turn number 2 then, was slow on the exit of turn number 2 as MKP on the soft compound tyre has overtaken Leon as Leon's still there, and MKP with the freshness of the softs was able to take that position away very easily, moved himself over to P5 ahead of Leon then. But Little One then is dominating most of this race, but is about to be under pressure from George Hargreaves and Veloci Aero Jr. right behind as well. It looks like Little One's able to pull away from George Hargreaves, leaving him vulnerable and exposed towards Veloci Aero Jr. We know Veloci has got some good pace in that Ferrari. Deluxi has got past Leon. He goes off the track, does the Alpine driver, so I dare say Deluxi sends it up the inside and he moves himself up into P6, leaving Ross now to overtake Leon, going side by side, both Alpines. Ross, third in the championship, has not had the best races the last few races he's had so far, and I think he retired coming out of the Hungarian Grand Prix last time too, if I'm not mistaken. But he's looking to gain some points as well, as looks like George Hargreaves has actually closed the gap down now, so he's found some pace for Little One, unless Little One has made a mistake somewhere, because he's pushing quite hard on that lap. The gap was 1.4, now it's down to 0.3 of a second then, so George Hargreaves is in striking distance and in full rage at Little One. Will he go for a move early on Little One though? As he looks to go down the inside of Little One, heading down to turn 1, he outbrakes him so slightly. Is Little One able to get a better exit coming out of turn number 2? Going into turn number 3 now. He got a much better exit, used the help of the ERS. He gets past him and he overtakes him for the lead of the race. But will George Hargreaves come back around the outside? Yes, he will. Late on the brakes is George, trying to go around the outside of Little One. But Little One stays ahead for the time being then, ahead of George Hargreaves, who is forcing the moves now on Little One. Veloci Aero Jr. looking very interesting right behind, and he goes up the inside into turn number 8 we go. Is George Hargreaves able to defend the outside line? Yes, he does. They gets a better exit, and then Veloci. And that was hard to mark moment there from George Hargreaves, thinking he lost a place towards Veloci Aero Jr., but had the traction to come around the outside back at him. And now Veloci Aero Jr. gets a decent exit with the helping hand of the ERS he has at his disposal, is alongside the Mercedes driver as he heads into turn number 11 now, down the inside of George Hargreaves. And wasn't able to defend that one, was the Mercedes driver, quite low on the ERS as well. Veloci Aero Jr. used to making the most of that ERS, as Veloci Aero Jr. is up into P2, as George Hargreaves did focus on Little One, but he couldn't quite get Little One, and now Veloci Aero then fancies a run at the Alfa Romeo driver. Yeah, it was a good fight for the top 3 there. Unfortunately for George, came out the worst of it, as Little One was able to hold on, but now he's got the Ferrari right behind him with DRS enabled then, and the Ferrari having a bit more ERS than the Alfa Romeo. Veloci Aero Jr. is back in contention for a win, and he's trying to go for his 3rd win of the season, is Veloci Aero Jr. But he will have DRS then, but he didn't get the best of X's last time out, got out to number 2, and this time in turn number 2 once again on lap 25 there, so go watch out for that. Coming out to number 2, he did spin early on in the race as well, did Veloci Aero Jr., but that was a completely different part of the track. But now he knows this is a big chance for him to win this race, after sustaining end plate damage from wind damage. That explains why he lost a lot of pace in the first stint, but he got so mighty close. He lost traction, and there goes George around the outside. Was able to take advantage of Veloci AO Jr. losing traction coming out of turn number 8, and George took the advantage. Look at that! Junior has lost it coming out of turn number 10. Oh, what's going on there? Is Veloci AO just a bit impatient there? He's just cost himself big time, and he is frustrated, angry, furious. Yeah, he's not happy. Not one happy bunny. Here's Veloci AO Jr. As look at that there, we can see a fight between Ferguson and Leon going side by side. And that could be another safety car because Veloci AO Jr. has crashed out. I don't want another safety car. I want it from clean. Oh, look at that. Then the Red Bull getting out of shape, going out of turn number 13. So did the Haas right behind. That was Bunny as well on the soft compound tyre. This is an interesting scrap there for P8. Ferguson under massive pressure from Leon and Jay Hartnell and Bunnies as well. And I think, I thought Ferguson was going to go in the pit lane, but he's just breaking the toe. Further up though, Dragon Speed is on the podium and looking to put pressure on George Hargreaves, as George now is in the DRS range. He did go off the track though, cut out of turn number 2, so he is pushing very hard. It's the Mercedes driver. He's not using his DRS though. He had DRS, but he didn't open it on that lap. And he's running quite low on DRS as well, is the Mercedes driver George. And Dragon on Speed, he finds himself on the podium, but he finds a soft runner right behind him. He hopes those soft tyres will die towards the end of the race. But however, MKP, if he gets to the podium, that'll be a mighty drive from P17 to P4 there, avoiding the first lap chaos, making up a lot of ground, and using the soft compound tyres to his advantage. But hopefully for him, they don't die out, because there's a high likely chance they will, because the tyre wear around here is quite high, as Bunnies is putting pressure on the Alpine and Leon. He's currently inside the top 10, but he does have a penalty over his name. He goes side by side now, but Leon has the outside line and remains in P9 for the time being, ahead of Bunnies. Little One has survived the threat from Veloci AO Jr., who's actually retired from the session now. So Veloci AO Jr., I don't know, because that was an odd one. He just a bit too impatient on the throttle. Back end was going, then he just planted the throttle and just put it in the wall. He just cost himself a lot of points there, it must be said. And Bunny's there, right behind Leon, with the DRS wide open for him. Should be able to get him into turn number 1 we go. Yes, he does. And he moves himself up into P9 ahead of Leon. He outbrakes himself slightly, does the Hashman, and therefore will allow Leo to come very close. I'll have DRS on him and 2 going down to turn number 4 we go. So will he fancy a move up the inside into turn number 4 we go? Yes, he does. They're going side by side now, but the Haas has the outside line with better traction and able to remain in P9 for the time being. But MKP is still putting pressure on Dragon on Speed, the German driver, then on the podium. Last time he was in P3, he spun out of there, but hopefully he doesn't do it this time, as George Hargreaves is trying to chase down Little One, but Little One has it all under control as the Alfa Romeo driver. Ever since the lights went out, he's had it all under control. Took the lead away from Veloci AO Jr. and ever since then hasn't looked back. Not put a foot wrong this race, has the Alfa Romeo. And looking to extend his championship hopes by 30 points, because his rivals have not scored, such as Veloci AO Jr. Ross has in P6, but he's got a big gap over Ross in P6 anyway in the championship standings, because Ross there struggling in the last few races. But however, lap 28 now, George Hargreaves has got himself in DRS range of Little One, but he's quite low on the DRS, is George Hargreaves. I wonder, would this be a last lap attack there from George Hargreaves? Will he able to put a challenge on Little One for P1? Little One has led majority of the race, and now he's got George Hargreaves right behind him. And if he wins this race, George Hargreaves, that'll be a mega drive from the Mercedes driver. Coming back after a race out in Hungary, after not feeling well, he's back here in Bahrain in the desert, fighting with the Alfa Romeo of Little One, our championship leader. Little One had it all under control, had a big gap, but got wiped out ever since the safety car came out. And now he has to deal with George Greaves, who's so close. They both make contact as well. And I dare say Little One be on the phone with that one as well. George Hargreaves going in deep, going into turn number 10 there. Hopefully he hasn't sustained any damage, because if he does, that's his chances over. We're going to be very patient there. You don't, look at that, he's going alongside Little One. But if George is smart, he'll wait for the DRS. There's no point going up the inside here or in the last corner. He needs to have DRS in order to attack Little One. You're going to play it very smart and think about the long term as well. What happened to Nacho? Nacho being Nacho spun. But here we go then, into the final corner we go. Looks like the guys behind have caught up as well, with MKP trying to claim a podium on Dragon of Speed. We are heading onto the final lap of the race. Can George Greaves blast his way past the Alfa Romeo? The Alfa Romeo there, low in the ERS, so is the Mercedes driver. Will George go with the inside? No, he's to go around the outside, but he goes early on the brakes there, forcing Little One to go wide. Look at that, George takes the lead of the race, and he should have DRS as well on the second straight, being at the detection point first. And look at that, he has DRS, but is Little One able to fight back underneath him as we head down into turn 4? Can he get him down the inside? Little One, they both make contact, and George is in the spin, and they both make contact once again then, as Dragon of Speed takes P2 away, and here comes Deluxe back through him as well, but he makes contact with his teammate, and he goes into a spin, and there's the Alpine, he's out of the race! Oh, in the battle of corners there, it all unfolded there from George Hargreaves after making contact there with Little One, and MKP is up into second place. What a race this was! George Hargreaves threw it all away in the last few laps of this race there, and you can see the Mercedes in the background just squirming on the exit. I do feel for George Hargreaves there. I don't know, I need to watch that back, because I'm not quite sure if he should have left enough space, or did Little One, was it a bit too aggressive down the inside? However, George's out of the race, so it doesn't matter anyway now. But oh my god, George, I don't know what to say about that one. Speechless, just speechless. If you say a clear dive bomb from Little One, so it's a dive bomb there from Little One, but Little One comes across the line to win in Bahrain ahead of MKP from P17 to P2. Dragon of Speed finds himself on the podium in P3, Deluxe in P4. And what a race that was. Mazel's in P5 with both Alpines in P6 and P7. Fandango in the top 10 despite being outside of it most of the race. Ferguson P9, Bunny's in P10 with Harry Palmer in P11, Jay Hartnell P12, Craigo in P13 ahead of Nacho, who finishes in last place and also a lap down too. But yeah, controversial last lap that was in turn 4. And unfortunately for the second time in the race as well, because do you remember back to lap 1 when George Greaves got sent to a spin? It's happened this time round in turn number 4. Not only a win got away from him, but a podium too, along with some decent points. But oh, it's just a shame to see that. George Greaves, looking to make his full-time debut here in CRL Tier 3, was on course for a win, but Little One had other ideas and unfortunately made contact with the Mercedes driver, taking him out of the race. That'll be a controversial one towards the end, but even if Little One does get a penalty, it doesn't matter anyway, because George Greaves won't feel any justice as he is out of the race. All that hard work undone at the final lap of the race. He had him coming out of turn number 1, but he had DRS. Little One was able to stay in the slipstream. Then he got down the inside, contact was made, and unfortunately for him got sent to a spin. I'll review that incident, see how it is. I'm not the steward, so I can't do anything about it, but I want to watch it back because it happened so quickly. But there's your race winner then, Little One. But a few drivers won't be happy with that one, especially I don't think it was a dive. I'm not quite sure actually, I need to watch it back. I think George had the race in line. Yeah, Little One took him out for sure. I'm watching it back now. Oh, George, I'm lucky there, mate. You had the pace. Come back stronger next race. That's all I can say. It's going to be very frustrating knowing you could have won a race, but it all got out of your hands in the last lap. Yeah, George, I dare say, was not at any fault. Little One there tried to go down the inside, but it didn't work, and ended up taking out Little One. George, sorry. Yeah, George, and unlucky to you, mate. You had such good pace. It's just a shame that happened. It's racing sometimes. But if that incident is reported, MKP from P17 on the grid could find himself winning this race. He's in the second, so if he gets a 5-second penalty or 10-second penalty, then yeah, that's MKP's win for the race for the win as well. But congratulations to Dragon of Speed for picking up a podium. Desperately needed for Aston Martin there. Dragon of Speed, what another drive from him in the Aston Martin. German driver continuing to impress people and putting on a great show as well. So I'm really happy for him once again. I say that every time in this stream as well. The Merc should have given space. What do you mean the Merc? Oh, you talk about Deluxe in P4. I don't think it's Deluxe's fault. It's one of them things. You don't want to go too wide into turn number 7. You don't want to do that. I think George should have backed out once he was going side by side with Deluxe. So yeah, but obviously you're frustrated. You don't think when you're frustrated, and that's why he made contact with his teammate. But I don't think Deluxe should have backed out because it was his racing line. To be fair to Deluxe. Deluxe saw his teammate spin. He took advantage of that. George tried to set up the inside, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's Deluxe's racing line. It's racing between, that's what happens, but hopefully it doesn't happen again. We can all learn from it, of course. Come back stronger than the next one. But it's a shame there. I would love to see George win his first race in the Mercedes as a full-time driver. But hopefully he doesn't beat himself up about it. Come back stronger next race. What drama from the first lap all the way to the end. And guess what? It happened in the same corner in the first lap and the last lap as well. Turn number 4. Well, that's it, folks. What a drama! What a chaotic race that was indeed. From the first lap all the way to the last lap, that was absolutely crazy. Turn 4 was where it all happened. The first and last corner. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching for Tier 3. Join me back for Tier 1 with Stevan at the Bahrain Grand Prix International Circuit. O'Reilly took the race win last time. Can you do it again here in Bahrain? We'll see. Or is Walter able to come back stronger? And also Julian Vizza. What about Pyro? Can he extend his championship lead and try to take on O'Reilly in Bahrain? But anyways, this race is done and dusted. Plenty to review and plenty to digest as well. As a lot of drama has been shown in this race as well. For Lottie Aob as well, that was quite a controversial crash. I'm not quite sure why he did that, to be honest with you, because yeah, he did lose traction, but come on, you can't do that, especially when you're the podium. Like, and it is frustrating to lose traction, but at the same time, you know, had a chance to win the race. Could be very patient and yeah, just got sort of later or something like that. But yeah, we'll end it from there, and we'll see you all next time on Thursday at 8:30. For round 11 of the Bahrain Grand Prix for Tier 1. Join me and Stevan then, but from me in Tier 3, done and dusted. Congrats to Little One, MKP, and Dragon of Speed once again. Unlucky to George, commiserations to George in that race. Yeah, it's just a shame how it happened, really.